And so we've got it there, the Asics NovaBlast 5 to 200 plus miles. Is it time to retire this shoe based on foam fatigue strictly? Let's answer that question and some more right now. So before we get into the video, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're already subscribed watching the content. Thanks so much, love you guys a lot. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Strava for all sorts of other updates and things like that. So without further ado, before we begin, it's been like a month since I've had to get into any sort of shoe reviews or any sort of content on this channel. I got sick for a month. It was pretty bad. And I couldn't talk for like an entire week. I was coughing my lungs out. I'm still kind of coughing. But we missed the 150 mark for this shoe review, which, to be fair, there wasn't a whole lot of interesting things to develop. But at 200, we've got a little bit more we can discuss. But yeah, long story short, with various injuries, sickness, and things I'm experiencing, as we'll kind of discuss in this video, the only consistency here was that the NovaBlast 5 did get me through a lot, and I'm thankful that the shoe is not a nearly aggressive upper or anything that would, make my training while I'm sick more painful than it should be. So let's begin now. Specs for the shoe somewhere up here. And the part you guys are waiting for is what do the outsoles look like at this point in time. And I will say that the shoe is about, again, 70% outdoor miles, 30% treadmill. I have used the shoe in all sorts of conditions, and now that it is looking a little bit more springy outside, I'm able to run outside a little bit more in them, despite the fact that it's like 42 degrees outside, so it's actually not the worst, but it's not as warm as it was this past weekend in the Chicagoland area. But as you can see, we got some really interesting wear on the left side shoe. On the interior side, part that I was not expecting to see, but there it is. It's quite chewed up, beaten up, probably from some gravel. Could be also from just this rubber plate sinking in more with the foam, and as a result, the foam is starting to experience impact on the ground at this point, as well as all of our shredding on the inside central area. And it goes to the rubber, not the rubber, to the rubber compounds, I guess, thumbs up that it's not nearly as badly worn, but it is to the foam's detriment that the foam is taking a lot more of a beating than the rubber padding, right? Because you can't counteract the fact that you're sinking more into the shoe and using more of the foam area, despite that this rubber is still protecting it, right? Because you're still going to end up impacting it, and that is still going to create, that shock into your ankle, into the arch of your foot. So you're still going to take a beating from this regardless. And this was the theory that I think the rest of you guys, when we were discussing it in a previous video, as to why the NovaBlast 4 is probably going to outlast the 5, right? The foam compound is much stronger in the NovaBlast 4, which I have here for a comparative model in terms of the 300 plus to 200 plus. And as a result of the 5 having a slightly weaker compound foam, we're expecting it to wear out sooner and kind of fall off the cliff a little bit quicker than I think the NovaBlast 4. Right now, I don't see that entirely. I am feeling some of the fall off, and I am experiencing a little bit more of a beating from this shoe at this time, and that's why I went ahead and started exploring with some new daily trainers, preferably in this maximum foam kind of space. I am a fan of this type of shoe, and for my daily runs, I need something that is a bit of a slower shoe that's going to keep me slower, right? Because I have a tendency of running a little bit fast, and I can't control myself when I'm having a good time. This is a problem that I think many runners experience, and this is why running a sub 3 is next to impossible for me. That's a joke, but I will get there one day. Anyway, the point I want to get across here is that 200 plus miles deep, the foam is taking a beating. I can still continue running in this shoe in its current state, but I am concerned about the damage that's occurring at the bottom of the shoe. It's expected at this time, we're 200 plus. I'm sure if we could look at Strava, I'd get you an exact number. But the point is that as this begins to wear more, I'm going to start experiencing more pressure points in various parts of the shoe. So, for example, in my right foot, so this shoe, I guess the wear is not as bad, which is great, but there's an overcompensation that's occurring in the left foot as a result. So there might be more of a push in this particular shoe. It might be the crowning of the ground, which I'm running on. So if I'm running on the opposite side of the road, so on the left side of the road into oncoming traffic, this shoe is going to be a little bit higher, so you would expect this shoe to take a little bit more damage. So maybe it's on my way back when I do my negative splits that this would be occurring. Okay, fine, whatever. That's a tangent. We don't have to worry about it. Let's talk about the fit of the shoe at this time. The only thing I will mention about the overall fit is that it's okay. It's if you're in a position where you have some kind of soreness or injury or like physical damage like I do to one of my toenails, the shoe will hug the foot pretty well. It won't put any pressure in any sort of spots. It's not stiff, so you have a lot of flexibility to circumvent some of those pre-existing injuries or discomforts you may be experiencing, right? And there's no real damage on the upper, and if we wanted to be real particular, you know, like how we were compared to the NovaBlast 4, yeah, the upper is a little bit cheaper, but it is still keeping itself in position. You know, I haven't ripped anything up here. I haven't ripped the eyelids of the shoe yet. But when you do compare it to the 4, it does look a little bit cheaper overall. But the ride is still fine, from at least my experience. I'm still not a fan of this pull tag. I don't understand it after, you know, the last 2-3 months of me having this shoe. It's just, you know, I just think it's extra space, and I'm smart enough to know how to set up the gusseted tongue around my foot, so I don't need a pull tab to like line that up. You know what I mean? The only thing I would consider changing is probably, I don't know if I would necessarily change anything at this time. The ride is still fine. It's falling, you know, like when you think of a lithium-ion battery, like everything is good, and then you get to like the last 2% and everything just kind of drops off. We're still at the good, and we're like starting to see a little bit of the tip. I think once we get to about 250 miles, I think we're going to know for sure if it's over or not. But as the way the shoe stands right now, I think we're okay. I'm not complaining. I don't have a max foam rotation I can use to compare to like a fresh model of shoe, but I will say it's doing just fine. Like, I haven't experienced that particular run where I do it and I'm like, oh god, like my foot is dying, you know what I mean? So at this point, I think we're still okay. I can ride with this for maybe another week and a half before it might be time to call it quits. Maybe I've got a whole another month. We'll see. But it will go with me to Charleston when I do my final shakedowns and final training preparations for the Cooper River Bridge Run 10K, which I am expecting to just barely survive based on the way my toe feels and whatnot. But this will be my daily trainer for my time in Charleston as of right now. And yeah, I think that's the overall summary, is that 200 plus miles. I think if you really wanted to retire the shoe, you could. But based on what I see from the shared distances of outdoor gravel and treadmill, I think the shoe is still okay. There's obvious signs of massive wear and problems that are going to occur sooner rather than later. And I'm very curious to see those problems as we get there, because I would like to report back where the impact and the damage is beginning and what fractured on the shoe first to cause its official collapse, I would say. So if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I think I'll leave it at this. Try to save my voice. I'm surprised I didn't cough my lungs out this time around. I think it's just beginner's luck when it comes to this kind of thing. But yeah, I think we'll leave it at this. So thanks again for watching. See you guys in the next one.